veteran quarterback saying, I see a guy who is hungry for more. He's been there, he's tasted it. He doesn't just want to get there, he wants to win it. He's putting us in the time, putting in the effort. He is being himself with us, and it's fun to see. Do you believe Stephon is a difference maker, bro?
What?
Or go ahead, Nick.
Wilds.
Yeah.
What do they call me?
Mr. Consistency.
And sometimes I don't like being it, bro, because it makes me seem like a bad guy. I don't like skinny, undersized quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like old quarterbacks coming out of college. I don't like wide receivers past the age of 30.
30?
Stephon Diggs turns 31 this season. I think Nico Collins is better than him. And I think Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud have a real rapport when Tank's healthy.
He was great.
He was great. And with Diggs, when we know how his season ended last year, I think part of that was offensive change. Part of that was he wasn't quite as effective. So I think Diggs is going to, by the end of this year, be wide receiver 3 for the Texans. And so I think he's an excellent wide receiver 3, but I don't think he's one of the 10 most important players on the Texans. And I like the Texans a lot. That's a testament to their depth, bro.
I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I think the quote, he's hungry for more, and he's hungry for more cheese.
You think so?
Yeah. All right, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year.
Yeah.
And my concern, I agree with you. I don't know if it'll be 3. It could be wide receiver 3. But Collins looks like the number 1 guy,
Yeah.
and Dell was great before
excellent.
he got hurt. So if Stephon, I don't think it'll be by design, but if he just happens to become the 2nd or 3rd receiver, how happy is he going to be? He's looking to get another big contract. And that's my concern for him. And look, worst comes to worst, they could probably get rid of him if he's the 3rd receiver. Just let him go if he's making trouble. But
You're talking about mid-season?
yeah, I'm just wondering if he's not like a featured guy on that team, he's trying to impress other teams to get a big contract next year. And is he going to be happy with it? We saw what he did in Buffalo. So that's a little bit of a concern, not even a little bit. That's a concern for me with the Texans because I do think Collins and Dell are probably as good, if not better, than the Diggs at this point.
1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns last year. So it feels like he has to hit 1,000. Like, if D'Amico's like, trust us, we'll get you to 1,000 and give you some red zone targets.
I don't think they can tell. Like, Stroud's got to do what is best for the team, and we'll see.
That's very difficult to have 3 1,000-yard receivers. And they know they're planning on Nico Collins being well over 1,000.
And Dell would have been.
Dell got his leg snapped, but
he's not going to be at 600. If he's at 600, he's not going to be great. 3 weeks ago, Ayuk has yet to practice. So much for that viral video of him showing up on the practice field. That's why we don't go with that stuff, even though I think he did end up making a story out of it. When he was on the field in pads, he led the 49ers in receiving yards. What would trading Ayuk mean for Brock Purdy?
Well, first things first, no pun intended.
Okay.
According to David Lombardi, a little update on yesterday's practice. Nick was giving updates by the hour when Purdy was throwing interceptions.
How's he doing?
11 for 14 yesterday. 2 of the 3 incompletions were drops.
Well, Lombardi tends to say that about
Debo was not there. Ayuk was not there. Obviously, he's holding in. And here are some of the words that Lombardi used to describe Purdy. Magic. Excellent.
Okay.
Flair.
Yeah.
I just think that's fair. Since Nick, every interception he threw, Nick
wasn't every interception.
Put on TV.
It was
7
in 2 days.
14.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he was magical, and he had plenty of flair.
For any kids out there that are diehard fans of a team,
without his top 2 receivers, you want to see how he is with Debo?
Anybody out there that's a diehard fan of a team, bleeds their colors and wonders if one day could I be the beat writer for that team, David Lombardi gives you a lot of really hope that could be
He's a beat writer.
Yeah, okay.
He's
Go
a beat
ahead.
writer.
We could stay to the topic.
All right, so if they lose, like I said, and if they get Amari Cooper from the Browns, right, and I'll say this, Nick, because obviously there's scenarios out there where they wouldn't get a player. They just get drafted.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that if I'm them. Because if you keep Ayuk, and I get it, he might be mad, but guess what he has to do if he wants to get the bag next summer?
Just
he has
be
to
alive.
play. He has to be great.
I disagree.
There's so productive, if not great receivers coming into the league every year.
And yet, despite that.
And I'm just going to let him have a horrible year and give him $30 million?
Despite that, Brew, every top flight receiver gets paid.
What do they do?
Every single one.
They play.
But the guys who Jerry Jeudy's
give me the one that didn't play.
But Jerry Jeudy's played and never. Well, no, he got half of what everybody gets. But he's never been good.
No, but
my point is even that
Jerry
guy.
Jeudy came out as a big name.
Yes,
he has some drop problems, but he is what he is.
He's been
okay, but my point is, if Ayuk, the best thing for him to do to get paid is to play well. You don't go out there and he'd be better off. He wouldn't be good at all sitting out, which is why the Niners still have the leverage. Because he wouldn't get paid and he wouldn't become a free agent.
All right,
so if you play, you don't want to put bad tape out there.
No, of course. I agree with that. But can we have the conversation under this context? If the Niners
they get nothing for him?
If they trade Brandon Ayuk and they don't get Amari Cooper back, any of the other trades, what does that mean for Brock Purdy?
I don't want Kendrick Bourne. All right.
Yeah.
You're saying basically they get drafted. They've been there and done that.
If they do it with,
they actually went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if they do it with any team other than Cleveland, they trade Ayuk and what they get back is a mid-level player, but really it's draft picks.
Okay, here's the thing.
What would that mean?
It would mean it's a big loss.
Yeah.
But they still could reach the Super Bowl because guess what? They did reach the Super Bowl before Brandon Ayuk was on the team with no Christian McCaffrey. Now, Mostert has become a Pro Bowl level player, but they didn't have an 1,000-yard rusher that year they made the Super Bowl. They didn't have, I don't believe they even had a 1,000-yard receiver that year. All right, that made the Super Bowl. And Garoppolo, we all agree, is not as good as Brock Purdy. You would even agree with that. So you had a lesser quarterback, you had a lesser running back, you had lesser wide receivers. Emmanuel Sanders, Kendrick Bourne. Now, Debo was there, but still, he got hurt. So my point is, they've proven that they can still reach high heights even without Brandon Ayuk and worse supporting cast. So even if they lose him, it hurts. He's very good, but they'll be fine.
So I don't know that I agree with the "they'll be fine" part. Yes, I agree with you. It wouldn't be a death knell, cross them off the list, but it is a massive loss. And just off the top of my head, as big of a loss as any contender would have suffered this offseason. The Aaron Donald retiring is the only thing to me that is on par. But I don't think Stephon is nearly the player Ayuk is right now. The Chiefs lost Snead, so that's significant. That is significant. But that was it's a different situation there. The Texans were only adding people. We're calling them contenders, which I think they're fringe contenders. The Eagles, I don't think lost. Jason Kelce is the significant one, but it's on par with that. To me, this would be on par with the distinction being Snead, Donald, Kelce were all lost months before the season started. There was a plan in place, and they executed it accordingly. Right? Now the Chiefs, I think, went into the draft, obviously understanding what had happened with Snead and what was going on there. We know Donald and Kelce, they knew what was going on there. And here's the other thing I think it means for Brock significantly. He is the Niners field stretcher. Brock was not a dink and dunk quarterback last year, but that's purely because of Ayuk. And I can show it to you. So first of all, yards per pass to Ayuk is unbelievably great. But to everyone else, the yards per pass was still elite. 8.5 is great. The air yards per pass is what jumps out. To Ayuk, 14. They were all bombs. You know what I mean? Essential bombs. Right. Everyone else, that would rank dead last in the NFL last year.
But someone would run his routes, right?
Well, look, let's see what Ricky. I think
Ricky Pearsall's been injured a lot of camp.
No, but he's looked good when he hasn't been injured.
Sure.
So I get it. He's a rookie. But Pearsall looks good, and I don't want to make too much out of Jawan Jennings. But would you admit he's a good receiver?
He threw the prettiest pass any Niner threw in the Super Bowl. I tell you,
he was great in the Super Bowl overall. But I mean, he's not. I don't like him as necessarily as a number 2, but I think he's a good receiver. So I think they'll be fine. You still got plenty of weapons even without Ayuk.
Do you want, before we move on?
Yeah, just a quick note from Josh. He threw this in the doc. I thought it was great. So everyone said, like, oh, it's a little bit like the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill, kind of restock, and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So it feels like that is the rule when it's actually the exception to the rule. Packers went 8-9 the year after Devontae left, and the Titans went 7-10 when they let A.J. Brown go to the Eagles. So there's a chance.
But neither of them have.
I know those were like the guy, but, you know, Aaron Rodgers was there. But there is a chance that Brock really misses him. I know you still got Kittle, but then you're just one turned ankle away from, oh, man, we just have CMC and Debo.
No,
and it's still great.
It's a lot. I mean, Ayuk is a very good player. That's why if I'm the Niners, I'm not thinking about trading him without getting somebody
And
back.
by the way, I don't know that the Chiefs would have won that Super Bowl had they traded Tyreek in August.
That's true.
They traded him, got 5 draft picks, 4 of which were in that year's draft.
They've been the whole camp without Ayuk. He's there, but he's not.
No, that's not the point I'm making. What I'm saying is the Chiefs had 4 guys, 3 of whom that played in the Super Bowl because of the Tyreek trade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they Trent McDuffie most notably, but it wasn't just him. Guys that they were able to have on the field that season. This is the part of it that I just think is maddening if you're Kyle Shanahan. It was Shanahan who hugged Ayuk, and it seems like I think because the story out from San Francisco when they first drafted Ayuk as a first rounder was Shanahan was like outwardly aggressive in his disdain towards his lack of readiness, not like being a pro, but like ready to help immediately. And then he became like the perfect guy for the Shanahan system. Unlocked so much of the stuff down the field, which allows the layered routes. And he just had an all-pro level season. And now all of a sudden, a first-round pick that's been on the upswing, that your team's been banging on the door of the Super Bowl, now not only are you not getting a contract done with him, but you might end up trading him after the draft and after free agency. That's a tough pill for the coach to swallow, I would imagine.
All right, so there's 2 teams that have been linked to Brandon Ayuk in a trade. Number 1, the Cleveland Browns. Number 2, the team of the century, the New England Patriots. Now, you'd have to get San Francisco to agree on the trade, and then you also probably have to work out a deal with Ayuk, so it's kind of a 2-pronged thing there. Patriots coach Drake Maye was asked about Ayuk. Take a listen.
I know, what all of you guys want to know. One thing I did learn from Bill is I don't talk about players on other teams. So just let me go ahead and say that now. But I remember as a player, I appreciated that. I appreciated that the only opinions that matter that were inside the walls.
The question is Ayuk a must-acquire? The answer is yes, definitely. Nick, your response?
So listen, I think that for the Patriots, they're staring at the 3rd straight year. They have no one on the roster you would draft in fantasy football. That's unforgivable. And maybe a late round pick on Ramondre, I guess.
You can draft the defense.
That's why I said a player. Here is now, the Patriots and Browns being connected to Ayuk. Yesterday before the show in your office, Brew, you're upstairs squirreled away studying. I had a level of intel that these were potentially happening, but the harder negotiation on the Patriots side of things is with Ayuk than with the Niners. Meaning the Niners have figured out the compensation that Patriots would give and that they would accept. And Ayuk is either because of money or because he doesn't want to go to New England, that has been stalled there. I think for the Patriots, this would be great. I think for Ayuk, of the possible places, I don't think this is that bad.
Thank you.
You get to be the clear-cut number 1.
Yes.
You are on a team that has tons of money to spend. You would be the first piece of that.
Team of the century.
With a young quarterback and that obviously needs to build an offensive line, but that's what the next draft is about.
Oh.
No,
That little thing called the offense.
No, I'm saying I don't think
just a little minor.
No,
thing,
it's
right?
no. To be clear, I'm not acting like I think the Patriots are going to contend this season. What I'm saying is, adding Brandon Ayuk makes the team make sense. It's like, okay, we drafted our quarterback, we acquired the wide receiver,
Ta-da.
and so now I wouldn't trade if I'm New England Brew, I would definitively not trade my first-round pick for him. So that makes it hard to do because that could be the #1 pick of the draft. But I would trade a 2 and something else.
How great of a year is Brandon Ayuk going to have with Jacoby Brissett? And then eventually maybe a Drake Maye throwing him the football
is Justin Jefferson
behind a horrible offensive
with
line.
J.J. McCarthy, who didn't even throw the ball in college.
Well,
Sam
I'm not ready to call Brandon Ayuk Justin Jefferson quite yet.
Okay, well, you don't believe
I think
in him.
he's really
do.
good.
But why?
I think of the places for him to go, the Patriots are the worst. There is no way if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm trying to go to the
Why are they
$30
worse
million.
than Washington?
Well, money is money, but Washington, he has a relationship with Jaden Daniels. They played together in college. I agree that New England's the place he'd be the definitive #1. You got Terry McLaurin in Washington. Pittsburgh, you got George Pickens. Yeah. But I still want to win and be relevant, and I think Washington does. You're right. I like Jaden Daniels better than Drake Maye, but we don't know for sure. We'll see. But I just think Washington is in a better spot than New England. I think New England is. They're not going to be
like
good
you can
for
pick
a long
one.
time.
If you
I
wanna
would pick Washington over them. Pittsburgh for sure.
No, I'm saying if you want to be a #1 guy and get paid like a #1 guy, you're probably not going to be on a great team because great teams have #1 guys. Is there any solid playoff-bound team without a #1 wide receiver that you want to move it? Well, Kelsey's the guy.
Okay, sure.
But sure, if you can go to the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, but I agree with your point.
You want the money, but if you're a receiver, man, you want to live up to your potential, and I don't see him doing that.
If you want to be a #1 and live up to your potential, and you think you're the guy, go with a top 5 quarterback.
Well, look, he may have to make a decision: 27 in San Francisco or 32 or whatever in New England.
Plus taxes.
New England. I know they're your squad.
Before we
ain't no way I'm trying to go to New England.
Can I ask you a quick question?
I'm sorry.
On this?
Tom Brady ain't walking through that door. I told you
don't know.
that
He
last
could come
week.
as a consultant.
Oh, but hold on. Before we move on, can I just ask? Because I have been down on the Patriots for the last few years as anybody. So I'm not a Patriot apologist. I'm not saying Wilds is, but I understand it's your team.
Definitely am.
Okay, all right, good. You think Brandon Ayuk definitively his numbers, his stats are better in Pittsburgh than New England? You think
this year, yes.
I don't know that Pittsburgh has a better quarterback situation than New England does. I think they have a better team. I think that they're more likely to win 10 games because of Tomlin and the infrastructure. But I don't know that either one of those quarterbacks is better than Drake Maye. I don't know that they are or they aren't.
I think they are, but there's a question of whether he'd be the #1. Because I think Pickens is incredibly talented. Now, maybe Ayuk has done more than Pickens.
Definitely would be the #1 over
Pickens is talented, all right? And so if you're on a team that is a playoff team, that's relevant, it's the Steelers, obviously. Like, even if he and Pickens are both close and his numbers aren't quite what they were in San Francisco this year, he's still relevant. You're playing in big games. Go to New England. You're not relevant anymore. You're not, unless Drake Maye becomes a real star.
I don't know if he thinks like that. I don't know if you're a #1 guy that you think, what, if I go to that team,
you look at the quarterback. Devontae Adams didn't, and how's it working out for him?
He's still relevant.
Hold on a second.
Devontae Adams still.
Is he?
Yes. Hold on. But then why are
He won't be next year if this doesn't change. I'll tell you that, unless he gets traded.
Hold on. But then there is not a team out there that he's been connected to that has an established quarterback. That's the point I'm making. You love the Steelers idea.